Yes, guys, welcome back to the channel. Apologies for the lateness. Both of us got caught up just before. Had to arrive late. But yeah, we are here back with La PIñA ROSA. I'm actually very happy to do this show. I really am, just simply because the show we're going to do on Thursday is going to be pure tears and, anger, because he's still here. That's all I'm going to say. He's still here. That's all I'm going to say. But I'll leave the rest for Thursday. You guys can probably guess what I'm talking about when I say that. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Deportivo and Palermo, teams that can actually win games of football. Ten, welcome back. Good to do this show. How are you? Good to have you on.
Yeah, doing good. And also big up to Anthony as well.
Yeah, look, you guys are knocking on the door for the title.
Yeah, right, but we'll see. So. I don't think we're in the mud as much. Him, yeah. But yeah, doing good. Just like 5 or so minutes ago, cut a little bit of my finger, so that's great. But yeah, I'm doing okay. So don't worry, I am not going to die. Okay. Though to be fair, as long as I'm not dying, it seems like Deportivo's cup dream died last week. But yeah, doing good, and obviously, to be honest, at least got unbeaten this weekend. Both of my teams, except Lugo, did lose this weekend. But yeah, looking forward, and should be a good show. Obviously, talking about Deportivo. Kind of telling you, Charlie. I think we might improve now again, and obviously a big game this coming weekend, which we'll talk about. And yeah, looking forward to all of that.
Yeah, look, it was definitely a good weekend for both teams. Obviously, before those games, Deportivo did have a cup game, of course, against Atlético Madrid at home. Definitely the biggest fixture they've had for quite a few years, since 2018, probably, since being in La Liga, of course. But yeah, just quickly, please subscribe to both channels, of course, if you're new and haven't already. But yeah, let's get into it. Like I said, Deportivo, we will start with them, considering they did play in the cup. And look, it was definitely, I would say, from what I saw in the highlights and everything, it was definitely a game that they were in. They had moments against an Atletico team that are, doing obviously well in La Liga, obviously one of the sort of big three, if you want to call it that, established team. For Deportivo in the second division, it was always going to be a massive ask for their cup dream to sort of continue in this game. Obviously, look, we saw anything can happen. Albacete beating Real Madrid.
Do you know who Albacete have next?
Atleti. So
no.
Sure, it was Atleti.
Guess who they have Albacete next round? If it's not Real Madrid, then it should be
Atleti, I'm pretty sure.
No.
Barca.
Yeah.
Wow.
Imagine they knock both of them out.
Could you imagine? But it just showed you that, look, in the Copa del Rey, anything can happen. Unfortunately, though, it wasn't to be for Depor. Griezmann got the winning goal just after the hour mark. In terms of the lineup, so obviously all of you guys will recognize Atletico. Griezmann, Alvarez playing. You had Ruggeri there, Johnny Cardoso, Simeone, Baena in there, Molina. You look at the bench, Sorloth, Pablo Barrios, all of these guys. For Depor, there was definitely changes. Obviously, the GOAT, Charlie Patino, the generational wonder kid, according to Arsenal fans, he started in this game. Gerardo so it was kind of a changed team, mix and match. Obviously, Jeremy on the bench, coming on Militieri as well, Cruz. So it's definitely a sort of rotated team, bit of a mish and mash with that. For Atletico, they definitely rotated. Obviously, Musso in for Oblak, among with a few others as well. So yeah, it was interesting because Depor had some chances. They really could have made something happen, at least a goal in this game. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be, though. Atleti kind of in the end showing why they're a La Liga team that's sort of in the top three in this game, to be honest. You could clearly a difference in that sort of quality, which was expected. But Depor are in the game, and they could have potentially got something here. But it wasn't to be. I mean, Tem, what was your thoughts? Do you think Depor could have, maybe taken it to extra time or even won it? Like, do you think you guys run? How do you kind of feel about? Obviously, you're knocked out the cup as well now, so the cup dream came to an end. But yeah, your thoughts.
Yeah, overall, like I did expect us to lose. Obviously, I did a while back a preview for this game with St. Keeks from Athletic Fanatics. So you guys can still check it out, even though it's a bit outdated. But yeah, I think overall, I'm not that upset that we got knocked out of the cup. And I did expect just a little bit of rotation from the team. Obviously, Yoramai, if this was like a La Liga game for next season, for sure, Yoramai would start and all that sort of, the better players would most likely start, not like, Charlie Patino or Herrera or Corrado. So there was still, some changes in the team, which I expected because, Deportivo aren't really used to, midweek games as much as Atleti are. Obviously, they play in the Champions League on Wednesday night, I believe, or Wednesday afternoon, sort of evening. But yeah, I think overall, I think quality overall shined through, even though I think we were probably, I think this game was 50-50 between both teams. I don't think Atleti were at their best. And I also think we weren't really at their best, but obviously at home and kind of like testing ourselves against a really good team like Atleti, who we don't have a very good record against historically. Haven't beaten them since 2009, I believe. So in a way, Simeone still has the unbeaten record against Deportivo, but I think this game was more about, obviously, if you win, that'll be great, but just try to have the game be a respectable result. Obviously, unfortunately, we didn't score a goal. We're one of only like 4 teams that didn't score in the last 16. But
I think you could have scored. You
yeah,
definitely had a
maybe.
couple of chances.
Yeah, a couple of good chances. Obviously, Soriano, former Atleti Academy player, obviously against his sort of, club that he grew up with. But yeah, I think overall, this game is probably more just about a very good free kick by Griezmann that basically won them the game. And yeah, obviously, big up to Dantrum and wins for both teams. Yeah. Except this one, which we're talking about. But yeah, I think overall playing against Atleti was at least like a good test. Obviously, unfortunate we're out of the cup now. Now we join Palermo and Tottenham, getting out of the cup competitions altogether. So, Charlie, I'll soon be there when Newcastle gets knocked out in both cups later in February. But for now, I can still say at least I get to enjoy a bit of a cup run. But yeah, I think for this game, obviously Atleti were the much more threatening side, obviously with more shots and target and and all that sort of things. But I think it was kind of expected, a La Liga side against a very good Segunda side. Obviously, we weren't really in form during this time. Haven't really won a game prior to this game for a long time, since like the start of December. So you could say, had we been in form, maybe we would have scored a goal or something like that. But overall, like obviously we did play 2 games, which we'll talk about. Well, one we are all talking about. I would definitely trade. I accept losing to Atleti, knowing that we did win this past weekend. So I'll take that as a as a solace to our unfortunate elimination from the Copa del Rey. And to be fair, good luck to Atleti. They have to travel and play the one and only the GOAT.
Betis.
Yep.
Oh.
At Seville. So yeah, looking forward to the rest of the Copa del Rey competition. We technically have a basket derby as well. Alaves Sociedad play each other Albacete hosts Barcelona. Let's see if they knock them out as well. Betis Atleti. That's probably the tie of the round, I would say. Or, well, I think all of them are ties of the round. There's only four.
Don't give me those words, tie of the round.
And then obviously
that's what they think when they draw the FA Cup. They're like Spurs tie of the round.
Just whenever Aston Villa gets pulled out as well, the anthem. But and also Valencia against Athletic. So yeah, it seems like it would be. I'll be honest. I'll be really shocked if Albacete win.
Could you imagine?
And
we said it about Depor. If Depor could actually like somehow put together like a proper cup run, like it would be pretty crazy. Like
yeah, I think you call this obviously the fact that now we know Albacete do play Barcelona, because Albacete's schedule that week is they play Barcelona midweek, and then 3 or 4 days or so later it's Deportivo La Coruña that following weekend. So seeing how Albacete did, which I have to check actually if I think they lost actually this weekend.
Damn. Beat Madrid and then lost to another.
No, they won. Okay.
Oh,
Okay, they won 1-0 Cardiff, which actually helped us. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting when we do play them in a few weeks from now, like 2.5 weeks. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, 100%. But look, it was obviously a good fight from you guys. You definitely, you didn't look, from what I saw, you didn't look completely out of place against Atletico Madrid. I guess it's good signs that, look, you guys are kind of close. Not say you're on the level of Atleti or anything, but like you're kind of not far away from being La Liga level. And obviously, you've shown that at times this season with obviously that really good run you went on. Obviously, recently you haven't had good form. So it's just about, what Deportivo turns up. And I think the one against Atleti, look, on another day, you probably could have at least taken that to extra time, if I'm being honest. And obviously, like you said, it was a Griezmann free kick, an individual moment of quality that basically decided the game. So definitely unfortunate, but the expected result. And now Depor can fully focus on promotion, just like Palermo. You're making fun of me for Palermo going out of Coppa Italia, but now you join me. So there you go. But yeah, Depor 0, Atletico Madrid 1. Depor put up a good fight against obviously one of the best teams in Spain. And hopefully, it's a sign of things to come in terms of getting promoted. And obviously it was a sign of things to come for the game at the weekend, because Depor, after a very, very poor run of form that we've discussed on this channel, on this show for pretty much since November, basically, Depor got an absolutely massive 3 points. And it was not only a win that ended that winless run, but it was a win against one of their fellow promotion rivals and a team that was very close to them in the table, that was only 2 points ahead of them going into it. Obviously, that was Almería. Deportivo walk away with a 2-1 win after going behind very early, obviously in the 13th minute. The second half turned it around. Hernandez and, of course, Mulatieri, the ex-Sassuolo and Frosinone striker. Of course, with hasn't really worked out at Depor so far. Like we've kind of said, it's more been Zakaria, Jeremy, who have been the guys up front. But Mulatieri hasn't really worked out, but it was a massive goal. Definitely his biggest goal so far since signing for Deportivo in the summer. And he gives them all 3 points in a game where, if I'm honest, I mean, you see the stats here. Depor, I think, in the end, probably deserved the win. They went behind early, which obviously wasn't great. Here are the two lineups as well. As you can see, Cruz, Stoichkov, Soriano, Jeremy Hernandez all coming back in. Comas as well. Have you guys made any new signings as well?
I don't think so. But obviously, in terms of the players that we signed, Altimira and Fernandez in goal. Obviously, the signings. And to be honest, I think obviously Fernandez didn't play in the cup against Atleti, but he seems to now be the new starting goalkeeper instead of Herman Pereiro. So I think that's kind of like, okay, I think we know who's going to be the first choice goalkeeper now for Deportivo, which is going to be Ferlo Fernandez, or Ferlo as the name at the back. So I think so far it's been okay as a goalkeeper. Yet to keep a clean sheet, I would say, since he joined us. But in a way, since he's played, haven't lost a game.
That's true. A lot of draws, but yeah, this, like I was saying, this was obviously a massive win because big game against a team that you've dropped points that you shouldn't have dropped in recent weeks. Had to win this game, and you went and did it, and it was that second half turnaround, like I mentioned. To be fair, 2 decent goals from you guys as well, to win the game. And it was most importantly, it was just a crucial win. And like I said, based on the stats and from what I saw, you guys probably did deserve it in the end. I thought that second half performance was good from you guys. That's where you really sort of came into it. And against Almería, who, like we were talking about, have been up there, you've overtaken them now. And this just shows you how quickly things can change. Despite Depor's very poor December and not winning for a month, they're now just 1 point away from second, which is Castellón, and that is, of course, an automatic promotion spot. So, with other results, going the way they did, Depor winning, it was a game they had to win, and they went and did that. And now, the top 2 automatic promotion is well and truly on, and they're truly in that race. And like I said, to kind of keep intact with it, they had to win this game, and they went and did that. So, Ten, I'll let you go. What is your thoughts on your massive win? I would say big win away at Almería for Deportivo. What's your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think overall we deserve to win this game. I'll be honest. I just thought, obviously, they did score, but I just felt like overall in this game we were the better side, like throughout the entire game. And actually, for anyone that's surprised, Deportivo ain't Newcastle, because Deportivo in the Segunda have the current best away form. The best, actually.
Yeah, look, if you go here.
Yeah,
away from home, top of the league. Away from home.
I guess who our next opponents are, and we host them. And if you check our home form, we are middle, like in the middle of the entire league.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it kind of shows you that maybe it feels like pressure is getting on to these players whenever we do play at home. Obviously, the most recent home games haven't been that good. Even though we've only really played we only lost 2 home games all season, which were the 2 games in December to Castellón and the B team of Sociedad. So, yeah, I think this game overall against Almería, I did predict a draw, I believe. I said if we were to pick up a draw in this game against Almería away, which we don't have the best record against, I would take it. Obviously, better, we got a win. So, we did. I think overall we were just the much more better side. Created a lot more chances and all that. I think we missed a couple of opportunities to add to our goal tally, but regardless, it's a win that matters for us. And the fact that also the Segunda and La Liga, it's based on head-to-head. For if
same in Serie B. In terms of if it's the same points, it's head-to-head, not goal difference.
So at the moment, if we were to finish level by the end of the season with Almería in the same points, we would be ahead because we drew the first game and then won this one. So we would be at least above them. So that's a good positive for us in the race for promotion or even the playoffs. You never know. So I think it was a crucial win against a promotion rival for sure, because I think Almería will definitely be up there, hope probably by the end of the season. So I think overall it was a good victory away at home. Our 6th away win of the season. So seems like the away form, maybe we have to enjoy traveling a lot, and technically, if you really want to exclude the Copa del Rey game, we are technically unbeaten in January after playing Cadiz, who are in one of the promotion playoff teams or whatever, played Las Palmas away as well, and played Almería 2-1. So,
Well, we said it, didn't we? We said in isolation the draw at Las Palmas was probably a good result. But the problem was the games before that, which you should have won, you weren't getting the results. So the draw against Las Palmas wasn't as, I guess, respectable as it could have been. But now you've gone and got, obviously, the massive win at Almería.
And Las Palmas lost.
And Las Palmas lost, so you kind of gained ground. And like I said, just 1 point. It is just 1 point from second now. And it's obviously, very close. But talk to me, what was your thoughts on the performance? I mean, obviously, Deportivo won it late with Mulletieri. How did you kind of rate your performance? Did you see improvement in your eyes? And do you think this is sort of a turning point for you guys to go on a similar run to what you did in sort of November?
Yeah, I would say on the two games, the Atleti and Almería games, both starting with A, I would say not exactly A+ level, but definitely seeing some improvement over the past few games, I would say. Obviously, we finally picked up our first win since beating Mallorca in the Cup, so it's been a while. So I would say this game against Almería, I think, was it the best decision that we did make some rotation in the Atletico Madrid game? I guess so, but it also shows that maybe we are capable of, maybe at some point playing midweek, maybe in 2-3 years, when we get back into Europe. But
Champions League semi-final again.
I mean, that's further than what Newcastle have achieved. So,
I mean, listen, Palermo have never been in the Champions League, although we should have. In 2011, we should have. We ended up bottling it. Look, we had an amazing team, but we finished 1 point off of the Champions League. We should have, but unfortunately, and that was a team with Cavani, Miccoli, Pastore. Should have made Champions League, but unfortunately, didn't happen.
Yeah,
but we still made Europe.
Yeah, but I think overall this game against Almería probably showed that despite how bad we've been in the past few games before the Atleti game, I think we are still one of the better teams in this division now. But it does show that there's a lot of inconsistencies with every single team in this division. Maybe this is the time we pick up form, and maybe in March, April, maybe we don't have a good run of form. We're consistently doing good or consistently doing bad. So hopefully now we can consistently do well and pick up some big results. And if we were to end the month of January, because I think we play the game after Santander away at Leonessa, which I think is in February already. I'm not sure. But, if we were to end the month of January by putting up a respectable performance against Atleti and then being unbeaten against our promotion rivals in Cadiz, in Almería, in Las Palmas, and eventually we'll talk about Santander, then I would probably say that it's actually been a good month for us so far. So I would grade this month and the performances a B+, A- somewhat. I think it's been a pretty decent month despite the cup exit, but at least we've, weren't battered or whatever. So I think it's all about, to be honest, it's all about that game on Sunday.
Massive game, yeah. Santander, of course, the team sitting top of the league on 41 points. They actually played Barcelona in the Copa del Rey, got knocked out, lost 2-0. Listen, Santander, you never know what you're going to get of them. They're obviously one of the best teams in the league. They should have got promoted in, I think it was last season.
They should have. Yeah,
they ended up bottling it.
And the season before, they should have been in the playoffs and bottled it.
Yeah, so Santander have been a team that they've been knocking on promotion for a couple of years now, and definitely look, it's not a surprise to see them up there. Currently sitting top of the league on 41 points. Depor currently sitting 3 points behind them. So with a win, Depor can draw level on points with them and make things really interesting, not just for top two, but for top spot as well. And we'll see, obviously, what happens in other results as well. But in terms of this game, obviously, this is the first sort of reverse. This is kind of the second half of the season now, officially, where you play teams in reverse. Obviously, you had that with Almería. That was the first one. But obviously, this is now the second game against Santander as well. Obviously, you ended up losing 2-1 in the away game to them. Obviously, it was an unfortunate loss there, but this is kind of a hard game to predict because with Depor, you don't quite know what you're going to get because obviously you had that bad run. You then went and won a massive game against Almería. But with Santander, look, you just don't know. Like they've had, they've been very inconsistent at times, despite winning more often than not. But they concede a lot of goals. They basically play Ange ball, score a lot, but concede a shit ton of goals as well. So there'll definitely be chances for Depor. But the question is, can you guys improve your home form? Because your home form definitely needs to be better, I think. I'll let you go first. What's your thoughts on this game? Obviously, your third successive game against, a team in and around that top three sort of area. Another massive game. What's your thoughts? How do you see it going?
Yeah, I think obviously this will be a very difficult game. Obviously, we haven't beaten Santander since, a couple months before COVID and all that, or technically at the start of COVID, back in January of 2020. That was the last time we played them in the Segunda. Both have been relegated. Both have been promoted from the Segunda and back up to the Segunda. And obviously last season, actually since we came back, we lost to them 2-1, 2-1, and this past, October 2-1. So yeah, we don't have a good record against them. The team from Cantabria, which you have good memories of. Not as a Santander fan, but as a Spurs fan, I mean. But I think this game, it's probably the game that I wouldn't say will decide if Depor or Santander get promoted. I don't think it'll, because it's January, the season.
It could be a game at the end of the season that you look back on. You never know. If you win this game, you could easily be inside the top two come, after the game week. So it could be a big game.
Yeah, and I think this is probably the game whereby would I accept a draw? Perhaps so as well, just like the other two games and all. But, I think this is the game that we have to win as well, obviously. But I think the fact that both teams are still technically inconsistent, over the past month or so, this is both teams only just picked up their first win in 6 games, this past weekend. So we're both not really in good form, but we're kind of like getting back into form somewhat.
Both coming off wins
after getting knocked out by Barcelona and Atleti, which you could say is okay, fair enough. So I think, both teams, despite them being 4 points ahead, and us being 4 points behind them, I still think that, it's about what we do against them in this game. And obviously, if we were to win this game, I wouldn't say we put a gap between us and the non-promoted playoff teams, but we definitely need to get results going in our favor if we were to win, to kind of help us. So it is going to be a tough game against Santander. Probably you could say the game of the weekend, either us or the game between Malaga and Burgos, who are 6th and 7th. But I mean, what do I expect from this game? Probably goals. I'll be honest.
The thing is, can you guys take your chances? Because that's obviously been one of the criticisms of Depor in recent weeks, is that you're kind of not quite clinical. So can you take, the question is, will you take your chances? Because you're going to, I think based on what I've seen, Santander, how open they can be, I think you're going to get chances, to be honest.
Yeah, and obviously, the fact that, this is the team that lost, Santander, I mean, this is the team that lost just before beating Las Palmas 4-1. The game before, they hosted Zaragoza and lost. And Zaragoza are second to bottom. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, you just don't know what you're going to get with them. They can beat anyone, but they can also lose to anyone, it seems.
Yeah, so, I mean, earlier in the season, they lost. Well, they at one point 4-0 down at home to Leonessa. At one point, and Leonessa aren't really, they're 2 points above the drop zone. So it is going to be a very interesting game. Our record against them is not good, but maybe I wouldn't say it's the best time to play them because they just come off a win, but also we came off a win, a very big win as well. So, we were technically the two teams that beat the top four this past weekend, apart from Castellon. So I'll probably say this is going to be a really tough game. In terms of how what I predict of this game, I mean, this game always ends 2-1 for them, but of course, I want to have hope. So I'll go 2-1 for Depor. Maybe we definitely help ourselves, but they do have a good away record as well. They are actually behind Deportivo on the away standings if you just look at the away form. So the second best away team against the 12th best home team in the league. But obviously, I think both teams are probably going to go for it, and hopefully a high-scoring game. So I guess 2-1 for Deportivo. Obviously, we do need maybe a bit of revenge for those 2-1 losses last season, and obviously this season particularly, whereby we took the lead after like 15 minutes, I remember. But yeah, I mean, if people are very interested in watching, I don't know what's the most boring game in the Prem this coming weekend. Like, I don't know.
Probably Spurs against Burnley.
Yeah, like you'd much rather watch Deportivo Santander.
Oh yeah, to be honest, even if it's second division, I'd rather watch Spanish football than the Prem. The Prem is so overrated. It's so awful, especially this season. I don't care what people say. This is the worst Premier League season ever. Just based on pure quality, this is the worst Premier League season ever. There's been more 0-0 draws already than there was in the whole of last season. But the thing is, like, with 0-0 draws, like, they can still be good, but they're not good. That's the difference. Like, for example, like, there's a lot of people say, there's a lot of 0-0 draws in Serie A and Serie B, but there's a difference. Those are tactically thought out games from both managers, because in Italy, the managers are elite tactically. But in England, no, it's just, pace and physicality. That's all it is. And just teams trying to stink it out. That's the difference for those wondering. But yeah, in terms of my prediction, it's tough to call. It could go either way. Obviously, Depor need to fix their home form. Obviously, coming off the back of that big win will definitely give them confidence. But Santander did as well. They got a massive win against Las Palmas. So I'm going to sit on the fence, and I'm going to agree with what Dantrum says. I'm going to go for a draw. However, I'm going to go for Deportivo 2, Santander 2. A 2-2 draw. I think it will be quite a few goals, a lot of chances. I think there won't be a lot to separate both teams in the end. So I'm going to go for 2-2. But if Depor can win, it would be a massive win. But I'm just going to sit on the fence. Listen, one win for Depor. We'll see if they have turned a corner or not. Still remains to be seen. If they can, go on another run, start being clinical in front of goal again. But I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to go for 2-2 in this game. Or it could be 2-1 either way, because it seemed 2-1 always seems to be the score, like 10 said. So let's see. Another massive game in quick succession for Depor. They're playing a lot of their biggest games in a quick period in this sort of January time and everything. So yeah, it will be extremely interesting to see what happens here and how potentially this result could be a result that you look back on at the end of the season. Potentially, it's one of it feels like it could be one of those games, but obviously you never know. I think there's plenty of twists left before we know what happens and everything. But yeah, I guess that wraps up the Deportivo segment. Unless there's anything else you want to add, Ten, any transfer news or anything else about Depor?
No.
Well, there you go. There you go. So Depor back on it, and a win that puts them just a point away from second place, despite a bad run. Just shows you how tight and how unpredictable La Liga 2 is. And Depor back in the hunt for automatic promotion. But let's move on and let's talk about Palermo, because Palermo extended our unbeaten run. I believe how many games are we unbeaten now? Because we are on quite, despite a few draws, which obviously weren't good. We are on quite a long unbeaten run now. Palermo are unbeaten in, I'll tell you, in 8 games. Palermo are on an 8-game unbeaten run right now. And that run was extended with a much-needed win at home against Spezia, a 1-0 win. And what was this was hilarious because Palermo, as you can see here, Jacopo Segre, 1 minute.
Well, actually, 10
that's
seconds.
misleading because it was literally 12 seconds to be exact. The fastest goal in Palermo's history. History was made. The fastest goal we've ever scored in our history. And it was Jacopo Segre. Lovely knockdown from Poyampalo, and it's a great finish. 10. I'm sure you saw it. It was a brilliant finish. And this is what I say about Segre is that Segre is a midfielder that needs to get more goals because he has that in him. I've seen it so many times where he'll pop up with a goal like that. Usually his goals aren't, just tap-ins. Usually they're good hits. They're good goals. And Segre, I've always said this, that with his sort of ability, with striking the ball, shooting, he needs to score more goals. And because this is the potential that he has when he gets into these sort of goal-scoring positions. Massive win, 1-0. As you can see, these are the two lineups. Bit of a mix and match back three. You had Birinsinski and Veroli coming in, although that was changed after Birinsinski got an injury. Veroli went off at half-time for Ceccaroni, who was seemingly rested. Agello, Ranocchia, Segre, Pirozzi. Interesting Giassi coming in ahead of Vasic. To be fair, against Mantova, I thought Vasic had a good game, if I'm being honest. So it was obviously led Duran still on the bench, which is interesting. But Palumbo, Poyampalo, obviously there is the Spezia lineup. A couple of our former players in there. You've got Soleri, who played for us up until 2024, where we sold him. And then Matteo as well. He played for us for one season, 22-23, now at Spezia as well. Interestingly, for those that watch Serie A will know, Radunovic, who has been, I think, one of the more underrated goalkeepers in Serie A for Cagliari for a couple of years now. But obviously, Spezia were able to get him in. I think this month they recently just signed him. So yeah, those are the two lineups. But yeah, let's get into this. Palermo, I keep saying this. We have to do more to be considered a top 2 team. It is fantastic that we're on this 8-game unbeaten run. We've only lost 3 games this season. Great. But it was another win where we didn't kill the game off. And we got, obviously, for those that watched last show, will know that against Mantova, we got punished for not killing the game off. Conceding a 95th minute equaliser after being 1-0 up when we should have won the game 2-3-0, should have killed the game off. Thankfully, this time, just like, against Sampdoria, against Padova, we got away with it for not killing the game off. Another game at home where the home form has been fantastic, apart from that Monza game this season. We've got another clean sheet. The defence is more often than not formidable. Big up to Baran, joining the chat as well. But I'm going to say this. We need to do more. And I'm not trying to be really harsh because we did get the win. And more often than not, we are getting the results. Albeit away from home, I've said that we need to pick up more results. But at home, we are getting results. At home, it's no debate. Palermo are very hard to score against at the Barbera. Teams come here and they struggle to score goals. And that is credit to us because the defence has been overall fantastic this season. Apart from the odd game here or there, Avellino, Monza, of course. Apart from the odd game here or there, the defence has been great. And we have the best defensive record in the league for a reason. And it was another clean sheet at home. Another one, but this is what I'm saying, another 1-0. Scored in the first minute, and that was the winning goal. Just like that. But we should have killed the game off. We hit the woodwork twice in the second half. You had, I think it was Palumbo with a header, and then Bani from the corner, which hit the post. So we had chances. We obviously, after that goal, I thought we looked really good. We looked like we could get a second goal in quick succession. Obviously, didn't quite happen. Pirozzi has to score. I don't know if you saw it, 10, but he basically missed an open goal where their keeper came out. Palumbo would have been a great assist, actually, but Pirozzi heads it over. I don't know how he's missed. He has to score. But we almost got punished again. Despite, I thought Palermo were the better team. I know Spezia had slightly more possession, but overall, they didn't create a lot despite having 14 shots. But a lot of those shots were like nothing. They kind of came to nothing. They were kind of going well wide, all of this sort of stuff. But they had one chance. And that one chance was at the very end, deep in stoppage time. They hit the post. And it was, which player was it? I'll tell you who it is. It was Giuseppe Aurelio as well. He's another ex-player for us. He came on off the bench and had a shot at the end, which wasn't a million miles away. Artistico, that was it. Who came on, good strike actually, hit the post late on. I think Joronen might have had it covered, but still, this was another warning that if Palermo are going to get in that top two, we have to kill these games off and we have to be ruthless. And this has been, I would say, our biggest weakness this season is that whether it's we don't create enough or we do create enough, but we don't put the chances away. More often than not, we aren't killing teams off. And we've had it. Look, the great thing is it was a good result. I'm delighted with the win because we, especially after that draw against Mantova, we had to get the win and we did. And we got the job done. And the truth is that we can rely on our defense. Our defense, 9 times out of 10 this season, are reliable. And we can count on them to keep a clean sheet. But with the players we have up front, Poi and Paolo, we need to be giving him more service. Obviously, Giassi came in. We need to hurry up in the market because Brunori's left. I know he wasn't playing. But we have to hurry up and get that replacement in. Because, listen, I know Pisa are being difficult in the negotiations for Tramoni, but we have to get it done. Tramoni is the guy that we want. Tramoni is the guy that Inzaghi wants. Tramoni wants to come to Palermo. We have to get him in. And listen, I do think we will get him in. But it's just, obviously, it's like Poi and Paolo, just like last January. A long negotiation being drawn out. Look, I trust them to get it done. But it's just taking a while. And we need him for these games. So, listen, Tramoni will be the signing. Obviously, we'll see if Jonsson comes in from Cremonese as well. Or he's an alternative, or if he's an alternative to Tramoni. I'm not too sure right now. But we need to reinforce that attack. Because I've said this all season. We need to be more ruthless. And we need to put teams to the sword. And this is what I'm saying. This, I think, is the difference right now. Because I'm seeing Frosinone, I'm seeing Venezia do what we should be doing, which is scoring 2-3 goals a game more often than not. And really, being consistent in the performances. Monza, I know have dropped off a bit lately, but they were doing it as well at one point. So I want to see Palermo do this. Look, if we keep getting results, fantastic. But the problem is, I do worry that this can come unstuck. Because 1-0, 1-0 Sampdoria. Look, Spezia, they're not good. Spezia, obviously I'll talk more about the table in a sec, but Spezia are in the relegation zone. Sampdoria are also near the relegation zone. We beat Mantova as well. We beat 2 of these 1-0 and drew to the other one. So these are the kind of teams we have to be. Look, we put 5 past Pescara. We put 5 past Calarese. We need to be. I'm not saying we have to score 5 goals every game. But what we do need to do is be more ruthless. But then, like I said, massive credit to the defense. Massive credit to Inzaghi. I thought the substitutes were spot on in this game. And I think, listen, what kind of the issues that I'm talking about, I don't think are on the manager. I really don't, because these players have to take the game by the scruff of the neck more. And I think right now, that there's only so much Inzaghi can kind of do. He has to, we'll see. The players have to sort of respond better. But listen, another good result at home. Palermo strive on, 8 games unbeaten now, which is obviously extremely positive. And like I said, the defense has been fantastic, and I've very little complaints about that defense. In terms of the table, as you can see, not a lot has changed. We're still 4th. We're still 4 points from the automatic promotion spots. However, Monza and Frosinone drew. They played and they drew. So now we do get closer to top spot. 5 points now. So, listen, our problem has been too many draws this season. 7 draws, 3 losses, 10 wins. 7 draws I think is too many. At least I would say at least 3 of them should have been wins. Based on, I remember, obviously Mantova should have been a win. I think Entella should have been a win. Virtus Entella should have been a win. I'd say, I know Frosinone are top, but I think even Frosinone, second game of the season, that should have been a win as well. So those 3 that stick out to mind should have been wins. And this is what I'm saying. We got punished for not quite being ruthless enough in those games. So, listen, I'm content. Best defense in the league. Look, we have scored more goals than Monza. I'm saying Monza, are being more ruthless than us, but we have scored more goals than them. And like I said, Monza have dropped off recently from what they were in October time. October, they went on a really good run. They've kind of dropped off from then. Venezia, though. Venezia are the team to look out for because they are on 5 wins in a row. Their fans can now cut their hair. Venezia. So Venezia are the team we have to watch because Venezia have hit a brilliant run of form. And from what I've seen, I have been impressed with their performances as well. So this is going to be interesting. Obviously, Frosinone, it's good that they drop points. We get closer to them. And it's still on. No question about it. We are in that mix for that automatic promotion. We are in that mix. 4 points is nothing. 4 points can be made up for if we can put some consistent wins together. And, like I said, kill off teams and be ruthless in front of goal. But I don't want to complain too much because it was a win. At home again. Defense was great. But yeah, Palermo have to improve. If we are going to, the reality is if we're going to break into that top 2, we're going to get automatic promotion to Serie A. We need to do better. And I'm hopeful we will. We've got the manager. I'm hoping that we get these signings in pretty quickly. And hopefully we can start getting more service to the likes of Poi and Paolo. And we'll see. But yeah, overall, I did think we deserved the win, but just have to be a bit better in front of goal. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I've offered on quite a lot there, so I'll let Ten have his say on Palermo. What was your thoughts on Palermo scoring the quickest goal in our history and obviously a very important win at home to Spezia?
Yeah, obviously scoring 10 seconds in is quite quick, a lot faster than most teams can score and all that. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a pretty decent performance. I mean, obviously Palermo doing very well at home, apart from that Monza game from way back. So it feels like forever ago. So I think
it's already lost at home this season.
Yeah. So I think overall, it's more about just continuing your consistent run of form of not losing a game. And I feel like this game, I obviously do think that Palermo deserved to win, even though obviously Spezia came close a few times. Maybe they should have scored one of the goals.
They scored an offside goal. They had a goal.
Oh yeah, the
offside one. But you saw it. He went through on goal, and it was he scored, but it was offside. Clearly offside.
Yeah, I mean, if Arsene Wenger was the rule of that one actually works, so maybe it's not offside. But I think overall, this game between Palermo and Spezia kind of shows that Palermo are going to be in the mix of getting into the automatic spots, even though despite only scoring 30 goals this season. But I think it's just more about just getting the results. Even if
we're still the third highest. We're still the third highest goal scorers in the league. So
yeah, only behind the top 2.
Only behind the top 2, yeah. So it just shows you.
Yeah, so I think what Palermo have to do is just continue being consistent with not losing a game. Only lost 3 games all season, and this game, I think they were just the better team of Spezia, who haven't done well this entire season.
Yeah, I mean, recently they did get a new manager, but they haven't improved at all, if I'm being really honest.
Apart from one win, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think overall it was the best result that Palermo can get. Just, as Arsenal fans like to say, on to the next.
Onwards and upwards. Listen, Baran, you're saying we will go straight down. I mean, look, there's always a possibility, of course, as a newly promoted team. But I think I've always said this about Palermo, that with the City group, with the investment, we're gonna reshape. If we go up, what's gonna happen? Here's what's gonna happen. Because when we got promoted to Serie B, we revamped the whole squad. We signed about 20 players and revamped the whole squad. That was more of a competitive squad to compete in Serie B. I'm not saying we're gonna do it to that extent. But we will do a lot of change. We will make the squad a lot better. if we do go up. It's just a question of whether we do go up. And that is what I'm concerned about right now. If we get up, then I'll worry about whether we're going to go straight back down or not. But we have to get up first. And that's obviously been the sticking point for Palermo for the last 3 years. We haven't been able to get promoted.
Yeah.
This has to be the year, like I've said on all of these shows. But yeah, Baran, big up. I can see why you're saying that for sure. As I can definitely see why you're saying that. But yeah, we are. We are. Obviously, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I've said this already. We're not going to find out until we're in Serie A, because the thing with the City Group is this. That obviously, everyone knows that they've invested money. They're obviously the same owners as Man City. That they have a lot of money. Girona is. But here, the question with them is, no doubt, do they want to get to Serie A? 100%. No doubt about it. They want Palermo in Serie A because it's better for them. It's more money. It's good for the brand. And they need Palermo for one of their clubs to be in Serie A. It makes a big difference to them. However, the question is, what will they do once we get to Serie A? Will they invest for the club to push further, towards Europe, that sort of area? Or will they be happy for us just to stay in the league? That is the question that we have. We don't know. Obviously, you can look at Girona as an example. It's kind of hard to say because they went into the Champions League, but have kind of, fallen off a cliff this season and everything.
Well, they're on a good run of form. Girona.
But still, they've got worse kind of over the last couple of years. So if you look at Girona, it's hard to kind of, read into that. But that is, for those that want to know about kind of with City Group, whether they are, because the question with them is that, do Palermo want to be part of a multi-club ownership? Or are we just going to become like a feeder club to Man City and everything? Which obviously that is a concern I have. But also, Palermo are clearly, nah. I don't love Man City. I just want them to win the league ahead of those bastards, in the Prem. So there you go. But with City Group, I do think they are invested in Palermo. Obviously, Man City that's their baby, Man City. Like, there's no question about it. But they are invested in Palermo because we played Man City in a friendly. Which other City Group team has played Man City in a friendly where it's been at their stadium and they've made it into a whole event and everything? It hasn't happened. Palermo are the only ones that have had that. Plus, you're seeing. I agree with this. This is what I worry about with them. But my point is, they are more invested in Palermo than I think a lot of their own clubs. That is the evidence that I've seen. Plus, they don't have control in Palermo because they don't deal with transfers. It's purely down to Miri, our president. It's purely down to Osti, the sporting director. Right now, they don't really have much influence. They invest money. They don't have it. But when we get to Serie A, hopefully, whether it's this season or whenever, the question is, what will they do? Will they kind of use us as a feeder club, which is obviously the big concern for me. But we just have to wait and see. For me, and I agree with you about Girona. That is what I kind of. But at the same time, Girona made it to the Champions League, so. You just don't know it. And like I said, with what City Group did in their first transfer window, which was when we got to Serie B, when we got promoted, they rebuilt the whole squad. So that is my question. And big up to Michael, massive big up to Michael every single time, guys. Make sure you're subscribing to Michael. He's recently started to upload again on YouTube. So big up to Michael.
Oh yeah.
Subscribe to him.
And Newcastle will beat PSV.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, he'll love that as an Ajax fan. I'm sure. But yeah, Ten, any thoughts on that sort of conversation about the whole City Group stuff with Palermo? Well, what do you kind of think of what Baran said in the chat, what I said, and everything?
I mean, I think obviously it depends because Man City don't only just have clubs in Europe. They have, they have New York City FC, who, a couple so years ago won the MLS Cup, the equivalent of the Premier League.
Exactly, yeah, MLS Cup, exactly.
Obviously, there's a club in Uruguay. There's a club in India. One in Australia that's done well. Melbourne City, I think that's what they're called. There's one in Japan. So I think Man City is the ultimate child, you could say. But I think in terms of European clubs, obviously the situation with Palermo, Girona, I think it's obviously going to depend first how a team like Palermo would do in Serie A, because technically we haven't seen it yet. Whereas if you want to say with Girona, the first 1 or 2 seasons since getting back up, 10th place, and then fourth, no, third place in that season where they competed for the title for half a season, and then obviously dropped off. But they have stabilized a bit more this season, despite having a really bad start. But I think, yeah, obviously, I feel like with
Yeah,
Palermo,
100%.
I think,
Yeah, big up to Anthony.
yeah,
Yeah,
we feel like,
we need to bring it. Yeah, definitely. Look, I'll say this right. The current squad, I don't think could survive in Syria, but we will make additions, and I believe I said this about Palermo. Once we get up, I think I'm not saying that we're going to go to Europe straight away or anything, but when we go up, whether that's this season or next season, when we do go up, we're going to stay up. We're not going to come. I've always said we're not going to come straight back down.
I think the best Italian example is probably the most obvious. Look at the Lake Como.
Yeah, there is a comparison because they're another club with money. They're just like us. They've got money.
And I think they're winning right now against Lazio.
They are. Steve will be crying, I'm sure. But like I said with Palermo, we can all talk about Serie A, what City Group are going to do, all of this. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything right now because we have a big battle on our hands to get into this league that we've struggled to for about 3 or 4 years now. I've said this. Promotion is everything. We need this season. We have to go up. I've said this. We have to go up this season. And right now, like I said, we are in a decent position. Not far from the top two. In this playoff semi-final spots. We need to, like I said, we need to improve on the things that I said we need to improve on, and we need to keep going. And I fully believe in the manager. Most importantly, Pippo Inzaghi. Obviously, Anthony in the chat will love Inzaghi. Obviously, legend for his club and everything. But what's Michael said there? If he's saying like the stream, please like the stream, guys. And yeah, big up to Michael. Lotito's a problem at Lazio for sure. But yeah, I fully believe in the manager, unlike my other club, which we will talk about on Thursday, which I have a lot to say. But Inzaghi's the guy. We just have to hope we get these signings in and these players can respond, which they have done quite often, but obviously not quite enough to be in that top two so far this season. But that's Palermo, a big win. As I guess we will. Before that, any other stuff to say, Tim, about Spezia and Palermo, where they currently are in the table?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, it's just about just getting the results to succeed and get into Serie A. And we'll see what you do when that time comes. But I guess what matters right now is not the modern days, but Modena.
You really oh man, Modena. So that's good. Your joke, your humor is great. I'll give that to you. I do love your humor. Yeah, listen, Anthony, I'm hoping, man. I'm really hoping so. Like Tim said, time to talk about our next game against Modena. And now Modena are the team that had a brilliant start to the season. They kind of went up to the top of the league and by quite comfortably 5 points at one stage. But like I did predict, by the way, Modena did drop off. They're now sitting 6th in the table. Kind of where I thought they're still doing a bit better than I thought they would do Michael, 100%. Yeah. If we do go up, those watch-alongs are going to be fantastic. We need it. 100%. 100%.
Better watch.
But yeah, Modena, they've dropped off. They aren't the team they were at the start of the season, that's for sure. However, they still are a solid team, especially at home. They've got our ex-player, Di Mariano. They've got Who else is it as well? I need to be better with Serie B players for other teams. Modena. I know who the players are, but I can't always remember the names off by heart for all of the teams anyway. That's what I'm thinking of. Girotti. That's what I'm thinking of. Girotti, Cazzo. Not that Cazzo, but Cazzo. If you know, you know. It's basically in Italian. That just means like shit, Cazzo.
Yeah.
Basically. If you're wondering. Like I said, Di Mariano, like I mentioned, Tonoli, wing back, he's done well. Zampano. So, listen, those are the guys that I think have been great. They've kind of kept up more often than not the good performances for Modena this season. Obviously, we did draw the reverse fixture 1-1 in a game that, if I'm honest, that was kind of marked the start of our really poor run that we went on, drawing to Modena, losing that Monza game. It wasn't good, that performance at home. Drew 1-1. They got a goal, an own goal from us, Birinsinski, actually. But it's definitely a worse Modena team. Like they aren't playing at the same level that they were back then. And I think they played very well in that game. They should have won. They were quite unlucky, I thought, not to get all 3 points against us. But playing away from home now. And this is where, again, another thing that Palermo have to do better. We are not consistent enough away from home. Away from home, we've had a few stinkers. You know, Mantova with what happened there, Verticentella, Avellino. You know, we've been dropping points in these away games that we really should be winning. And Modena are obviously a much tougher game than those teams. And I am a little bit, look, like I said, great result against Spezia. I am a little bit skeptical about this game. Obviously, we have a very good record against Modena. We haven't actually lost to them since we came up in 2022 to Serie B. We haven't actually lost to them. So, typically a team we do very well against. But we did draw that home game this season. So, I am apprehensive about this game. Modena sitting sixth. Look, like I know they've dropped off lately, but it's not like they're a bad team. They're still, you know, they just won their last game against Pescara. So, not a bad team by any means. Not as good as they were at the start of the season, but with Palermo's, with the recent away results, that's the problem. You know, Avellino 2-2, Mantova 1-1. Like, we have to be doing a better away from home, but we are still not losing many games as well, which is obviously the positive. I don't know. I'll let you go first on this one, Ted. Palermo traveling to Modena, the long trip all the way up north. What's your thoughts? How do you think Palermo? Look, if we do beat Modena, I think it's a massive win, and it will be an impressive win for us if we can get it. I'm hopeful we can, but like I said, I'm a bit skeptical. So I'll let Ten go first. What's your thoughts? How do you see Palermo getting on against Modena?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a tough game because, you know, now they are 5 points behind you. But also you are almost 5 points behind where you want to be, which is the automatic spots. I think it will be a very tough game. And considering the past 5 games have been win, draw, win, the most recent game. So probably it points towards a draw, which I think might be probably a fair result between the two sides. But yeah, I think at some moment, maybe this sort of not killing games off might come back to haunt you.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. This is a game where if we're on top, if we're playing well, this is a game we have to kill the game. If we don't kill the game, this is the game where we will get punished. Win, yeah. We will get punished if we don't kill this game off.
Yeah, and I feel like, especially, you know, not had a great January overall so far, Modena and December. So I think they want to really bounce back to where they were at the start of the season. So I'll repeat the pattern of Palermo: win, draw, win, draw, win.
That's been the reason.
1-1 draw. 1-1 draw, I will go with. I think Modena will be up for it. This is the home game now for them. So, you know, if they can pick up even better than a draw, then I think that's going to cause some chaos, especially when when you think about it, I mean, Frosinone are playing the most or what the not informed team,
Oh,
Reggiana,
Reggiana, oh,
and
man.
Reggiana's lost every single
Oh,
game last five, and
Frosinone.
next year,
I hate
or
these bastards. I hate these bastards, man. I hate these bastards. Frosinone.
yeah, and obviously Venezia on a
Cheats.
on a haircutting spree right now. So I think,
Yeah,
and obviously Monza are playing Pescara. So in a way, the top three are playing probably the worst
that's
sort of
that's the
teams at the
that's the
moment.
worry. That's
And with
This weekend could be
you know,
frustrating because the teams above us have easy fixtures,
and
favourable
even Cesena
fixtures.
has an easy fixture, Bari. You know,
Yeah,
when you think about it. So this is probably the game that probably helps keep Palermo closer to the top two. But it could also be the game that might say Palermo aren't at this moment in time ready yet. And maybe that's when they hurry up the transfer business because obviously other teams like United States, Catanzaro play Sampdoria, who are down there. Yeah, Juventus minus Inter, Stabia are playing Virtus Entella. So, the teams below Palermo also have easier games, and you do play Modena. So I think, if certain results don't go Palermo's way, might drop down to fourth or fifth, but also lose ground in terms of points. The gap can be from 4 points to 7 points if certain results happen. So we'll see. We'll see. But when you think about it, both Palermo and Depor have the same number of points.
we do. Although you guys have more games in your league, but yeah, I'm saying a draw. I hope I'm wrong because I think we have to get 3 points with, like you said, the teams around us. Having these games.
Most
I
of them
am
will win.
skeptical though with our away form. Plus us not killing off games. I'm going for 1-1 as well. I hope we get it 2-1. I'm saying if anyone wins it, I do think it will be Palermo. But I'm just saying a draw. I think we draw, if I'm honest. I'm going 1-1. Just based on what I've seen in recent games. I don't think we lose. I think, we're on this unbeaten run for a reason. But I think we draw. I think we draw. So I'm going to go 1-1, but I hope I'm wrong and I hope we get, a massive win. But we'll have to see. We definitely have to be clinical in this game. But it remains to be seen. But yeah, this for me has a draw sort of written all over it. But we really do need a win, if I'm honest. We do need a win, as otherwise, the top two will likely get further away if we don't pick up 3 points this weekend. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it all plays out. And like I said, Tramoni, hopefully this deal gets done soon because I think we need him in. That's for sure. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up the show. Another episode of La PIÑA ROSA, the Deportivo and Palermo show. 10. Any final words before we wrap up?
Subscribe to my channel.
Me too. Subscribe, guys, if you haven't already.
Yeah, and obviously, I will be doing a live watch long for Newcastle United versus PSV Eindhoven. We play PSV this week, PSG next week. Just to clarify, it's PSV Eindhoven that we're playing, and then obviously PSG next week in the Champions League. So I'll do a watch long for both of those games, and then obviously we'll be back on Thursday for the Year of the Bird. Obviously talking about Newcastle and Spurs after the Champions League games happen. Tuesday for him, which they'll lose, and us, which will win, and which will probably still not make the top 8. But USG, damn, isn't that like Bayern Munich? But I think overall, it's been a good show, and yeah, looking forward to the games this coming week. Obviously, the return of European football, and obviously Deportivo unbeaten in January in the league at least. So yeah, that's pretty good. So yeah, I'll be doing a watch long for the game on on Wednesday, which is the Newcastle United versus PSV. That's what I meant. PSV, not PSG. That's next week. PSV. V for Virtus and Teller.
Oh God. But yeah, I think that wraps it up. Big up everyone for watching. Make sure you're subscribing to both channels. Of course, this is being streamed on both channels. Get all your thoughts in the chat on all the stuff we spoke about today. And yeah, big up, guys. As always, big up to the chat, Michael, Dantrum, Anthony, everybody that joined today, Baran. So yeah, big up, guys, as always, and we will see you in the next one.
Yeah, on Thursday, or for me, Wednesday, I guess.